From a love of music, I went to the Buczynski Institute of Violin Making for 2 years, and I went to Ontario College of Art for 4 years. And then I got married to Ruth Wagner, who was at one point probably the best violin maker in the world. And he changed the way I made new ones and taught me how to restore old ones. And when I got married to him, I moved to the house that he lived in, and his business started in 1934, and I've been in this house has been there making and repairing instruments since 1960, just outside Bracebridge in Muskoka. And sadly, he died of cancer. But I continue Wagner violins and love every minute of what I do. Every day is very pleasant and very enjoyable because I'm happy doing what I want to do. Two types of instruments that you can make: a double back, a two-piece back, or a single back. A round piece of tree can be cut directly across the center, and it's called heartwood, and that becomes a single-piece back, and you take it out of a piece of wood like that. And that came straight across the trunk of the tree. The other way you can do it is cut individual pieces of pie out of the trunk of the tree. And then you cut the piece of pie in half and join it, and that's a join down the center of the back of the instrument. And you always make the back of the instrument with hardwood and the front of the instrument with softwood. Also the sides and the neck and the scroll are made out of hardwood. The reason being that the softwood and the hardwood complement each other in sound. When you're carving the instrument out, you carve out the top first, or the bottom. You carve out the outside of the instrument. And when you get it to the size and shape that you want, then you carve out the inside of the instrument. And as you're doing this, you hold onto the instrument and tap tone the instrument. And it develops a certain tone. When you're ready, before you carve in the F-holes, or the holes that you're going to use, you tap tone the top plate of the instrument, and you tap tone the bottom plate of the instrument. And in order to have a happy instrument, you want to have the sound of the instrument somewhere between the middle strings of the instrument. So for a violin, which is G, D, A, and E, the tones would be between the D and the A. And if you want to have a happy instrument, you have it either a half tone or a whole tone higher. And if you want to have a sad instrument, you have it a half tone or a whole tone lower. If you make both the plates, the top and the bottom, the same tone, then they dud each other out. And it's a sad piece of instrument that doesn't sound proper at all. Then you cut the F-hole out. And when you cut it out, it's the most dramatic thing that can ever happen. Tap tone the instrument first, and you cut it, and it goes right across there, so it is destroying that much of the straight grain of the instrument. And when you tap tone it again, you have no sound. It's a dud, punky sound. I remember I nearly had a heart attack the first time I did it. And then that's when you put on the bass bar. And the bass bar is a bar that you carve, and it has to match the inside of the instrument exactly. And you put it in on an angle to the center grain. And when you get it so that it fits exactly, then you shave a little bit off each end so that it rocks just slightly. Then you glue it on under pressure, and that returns the pressure onto the plate of the instrument. Then you shave a bit off each end and keep on shaving it until it tap tones back to the tone you had chosen prior to cutting the F-holes in. You also have to put in purfling, and purfling is 3 little strips of wood, which are hardwood ebony and maple or pear and hardwood ebony again, and they come in the form of a little tiny strip, and you cut a groove into the instrument, and then insert that into there. The more competition, the more variance in sound, the more vibrations. Some very cheap instruments will just have these lines painted on instead of the purfling inserted. But the purfling is there to increase the vibration of the instrument, and it improves the tone. And then you have to carve the neck of it, and it takes a lot of carving and adjusting, and you finally put the instrument together. I guess I've been passionate about violin ever since I was a child. I always was entranced by them. My father took me to the symphony when I was about 4. And it was interesting because when the people were leaving after the symphony was over, I sat there and my father said, "Come on, it's time to go home." And I said, "No, I'll just sit and wait for some more music." And I could have played the instrument from that point on. I was just fascinated by it. And I grew up playing it, and then I had the opportunity to learn how to make it.